Welcome to our eXpd8 video on managing key documents in relation to a client. This is specifically designed to help with money laundering compliance. Let's start by seeing what's new and how that's going to help us in terms of money laundering details on our clients. I'm going to access the address book by the shortcut on the bottom toolbar, and in there I'm going to go Add Client. When I hit save on this client, you'll notice a new thing. We get a pop-up here saying, do you wish to check for a possible client conflict? When I go yes, in this instance, no data is returned, meaning eXpd8 did not find any other instance of a Henry George either within our clients or our contacts database. Notice up on top here, there are two new tabs. One says Key Documents, the other one says Wills and Deeds. Let's look at Key Documents first. In here, you'll notice that the system now comes pre-populated with a certain number of key documents that we thought you might find useful. I'll show you in another video how you can add to that list of key documents. Let's say for this particular client, we have a copy of his bank statement. So when I click on Attach Doc, it will bring me to the default place where my eXpd8 Scan Watcher saves or views anything I've scanned into the system. This is pre the document being added to eXpd8. This is your scanned folder on your network that Scan Watcher keeps an eye on. Now, if for some reason you're not using Scan Watcher, you can, of course, hit the drop-down arrow here and browse to where you know you've saved this scanned item. When I click on scanned item here, it shows me the copy of the bank statement from the client, and you can see now that against that client, this particular item, bank statement, has gone green, indicating that I do have that document there. And I can close out of this then. Let's say time has passed now, and I've finally gotten a copy of this client's passport, and I want to go back and add it in again. So again, I'm going to access the client through the address book shortcut, find the client, and I've scanned in now his passport, and I want to go Photo ID. When I go Attach, again it brings me back to the same place. I'm going to attach his passport. Now obviously that's not really his, that's mine. Okay, and I have his Photo ID there. Up until this point, eXpd8 has been all about transparency of information. So passwords, to a great extent, haven't really been a key feature, in that the idea of eXpd8 has been, let's put all of the business information out there where everybody can access it. From this version on, specifically in relation to validating clients, indicating that as a company we are saying, yes, we have checked them, we're happy, this brings on a new level of security that really hasn't been a feature of eXpd8 up till now. I've now logged on as a user who has limited rights within the system, and I want to show you now what does that mean in terms of validating clients. So if I go back into our client, and I as a limited user want to say, I'm happy we have sufficient ID on this client that we want to stamp him off, rubber stamp him, and say him that we're happy with him. So as user KT who has limited rights, I want to validate this client. I pop in my password and go OK. The system's going to tell me that the client is marked as pending validation by somebody who has higher level security rights than I do. And I'll say OK on that and close out of the client. Now I'm going to log in as somebody who has higher security rights within eXpd8. I want to view any of our clients who've been put into the pending verification status. So I'm going to go into Reports. And in here, as you know, we have reports under 4 headings: Files, Clients, Contacts, and Time and Billing. Now this is in relation to a client, so I'll open up this report. And notice in here we have Client Verification Reports. And I want to see Clients Pending Verification. This is telling me here there are 4 waiting in the list. Let's go into Henry George, I'm going to have a look at him, and in his key docs, I'm going to see that I'll view those documents, make sure I'm happy they are what they report to be. So I'll open up the client's bank statement, have a little look at it, and if I'm happy with everything, I want to validate this client. So now my name is in there. I want to validate. I put in my password. This is where the security really comes in that whoever's going to validate has to have a secure password that only key people can do the validation. And when I hit close on this, come out of here, we'll go back into our verified clients, and we expect to see there Henry George is now there in our verified list. And in accessing, it's telling him validated by me on today's date. Okay, so let's verify where do we stand with these key docs on clients. Any client you add to the eXpd8 database, once you've been updated to version 3.9.155, will automatically be added into one of these reports. They're either going to be in verified clients, pending verification, or awaiting documents. But what about the hundreds or possibly thousands of existing clients you have in your database prior to this upgrade? Well, let's go have a look. An existing client will not become included in these checks unless you've accessed the key docs page of that client and attached or activated one of these buttons here. Okay, so let's look at what's different in wills and deeds. We'll go back into our previous client and have a little look here. So you'll notice that wills and deeds are a new tab up on top. That's the main change. It's moved position, but there's some other wee changes. First of all, I can hit the drop down with deeds and go new and give it a property. So let's say 12 the Avenue. And documents are held by us, and we receive them today. Let's save and close on that. Now, going into reports, remember again that these are reports to do with the client. So we're going to go into deeds. All clients' deeds are held for, and there's our Henry in our list. Open them back up again. Into wills and deeds, we can see there's our deeds. Let's say now that Henry has made a will. So the default status for all clients is will referenced, none made. But enter in whatever coding system or whatever logic you use for the will. It could well be that the document, it could be the document itself that you have saved in the client's file that you want to make reference to here. So let's give it a number 1, 2, 3, and any notes that you wish to make and that the will was made today. Save and close. Come out of Henry again, and if we want to see clients with wills, there's Henry. And then there we can see the details of both his will and his deeds on his properties. We can in fact have multiple deeds, so you could go back in and add and then we can see that we have those multiple deeds, one for 12 the Avenue, one for 45 Main Street. What is important to note at this point in time is that there should only ever be one active will on a client. So in a case where a will is updated, instead of adding a second will, we should be looking at updating the will to the latest information. And then change the date to whatever's then relevant. I hope you're going to find this new functionality in terms of the key documents being tracked on the client and the wills and deeds helpful in terms of managing your business.